Hi everybody, it's Dandruff with your news Cartridge for Wednesday, April 25th, 2018. Welcome back to the show. Again, there is a ton of news today, and I just want to remind everyone before we get started that timestamps and reference links for all stories today can be found in the description below. Less than a week after the Netherlands announced their ruling on loot boxes, Belgium has now come out with theirs, but unlike the Netherlands, they are quite happy to name the games. The 4 games being investigated are Battlefront 2, FIFA 18, Overwatch, and CSGO. According to the ruling, all 4 games break Belgian gambling laws. As Battlefront 2 has changed the way loot boxes are handled, Belgium has decided that they are no longer in violation, but for the other 3 games, the loot boxes must be removed. If not, the operators of these games face 5 years in prison and a fine of €800,000, with punishments doubled where minors were involved, according to the Minister of Justice, Cohen Gens. By the way, a lot of minors play these games. The deadline for when they need to comply has not been made public yet. The main difference between Belgium and the Netherlands is Belgium is finding all loot boxes bought with real-world currency to be illegal, whereas the Netherlands only finds those where rewards can be traded back for a real market value to be illegal. Gens' office only investigated the 4 games, so we should expect to see more games in violation sometime in the near future. We have a second top story for today, and you are not going to believe this one. Columbus Nova, the Russian company who acquired the studio behind EverQuest and H1Z1, has possibly had its assets frozen by the US government. According to the US Department of Treasury, this action was taken because of destabilizing activities by Russian oligarchs, primarily Viktor Vekselberg, the owner of Renova Group, who has definitely had their assets frozen. Columbus Nova is a subsidiary of Renova. Daybreak Studios, formerly Sony Online Entertainment and bought by Columbus Nova in 2015, is now denying Columbus Nova ever bought them. In fact, they're claiming Jason Epstein, a former member of Columbus Nova, is their owner. However, in a press release directly from Daybreak in 2015, they talk about how they were acquired by Columbus Nova. After being called out on it by multiple news websites, Daybreak claims it was an error and said that they would correct the press release. It was then deleted. Instead, people are pointing to their private policy, which is usually written by your legal team, which also says they are owned by Columbus Nova. According to Massively OP, evidence was also found of Daybreak representatives attempting to change the details of who owns them on Wikipedia. It doesn't stop there. All searchable documents, releases, private policies, and public statements from Daybreak in 2015 point to Columbus Nova as their owner. Since all of this has happened roughly 2 days ago, the CEO of Daybreak has announced her leave of the company and managed to found a separate consulting firm. With all of this evidence, it sounds like Daybreak is attempting to avoid having their assets frozen as well, which would be exceptionally bad for them considering the recent updates to H1Z1. Thank you to the Massively OP writers Jason Olivetti and Bree Royce for uncovering all of this. What a roller coaster ride of a story, and it is now finally time for release announcements. Sonic Mania Plus will be releasing on July 17th for $29.99 US, and if you already own the game, you can upgrade for just $5. Next up, beta invites have started going out for World of Warcraft's next expansion, Battle for Azeroth. Be sure to check your email because somehow I got invited, and if I got one, they must be giving one out to everyone. That's it for those, so now let's talk about Valve making a public statement to their Australian customers, laying out the Australian Consumer Rights Notice. They restate, gamers are entitled to a refund for a defective or failed product and ensure everyone they test for quality to see if games are acceptable in appearance and finish, and that was hard to say with a straight face. Pretty sure this was done as part of that loss of appeals I talked about last week. Continuing on, here we have a quote from the co-founder of Devolver Digital saying, "The gaming community is great at being complete fucking assholes online." Can't say he's wrong. Seriously though, he continues on saying he does not understand why this is. If you're having a hard day and there's 1,000 people on Twitter at any time willing to agree that you're a piece of shit, that you should stop working because you're never going to make anything good. It's pretty hardcore to a sensitive person. Now he does have a very good point. I believe our gaming hobby should be something relaxing, but what is relaxing to some may be seen as aggressive to others. The person screaming racial slurs at the top of their lungs may actually say it's good stress relief, but that obviously doesn't take into account other people's feelings and consideration. I've said for a while now that I don't believe in safe spaces, but I also believe that people can make an effort to not be complete jerks to each other, even if they disagree on core values. So I do get where he's coming from, but I've also been the one on the side of dishing out that toxic behavior, and while that may have been teenage dandruff, I understand what it's like to be selfish. I'm not saying that's right or correct, it's just another perspective. Dealing with this selfish behavior is not something everyone becomes aware of, and even if they do become aware of it, not everyone unfortunately tries to change it. In my own personal experience, I have met more positive gamers than negative, but the negative experiences stand out stronger. It's really easy to remember that one time I saw somebody speed hacking in DayZ than it is to remember everyone else who was playing fairly. It's definitely an open-end topic, one that I think will continue to be an issue in our gaming hobby, but hopefully one that we will start to see less of. Please leave your thoughts down below. Next up, instead of complying with the GDPR, a new law in the EU to protect users' privacy, Warp Portal and Gravity Interactive will be blocking EU players from their games. What an ideal solution! Best known for Ragnarok Online, Warp Portal announced service will be blocked by regional IP. Refunds will be given from purchases made from February 1st to April 30th this year. No reasonable explanation for this was given, and if I were sponsored by a VPN, then I may or may not direct you to try that to play your games. Finally for today, and I just need to take a second to thank Whiskers for doing a bunch of the writing for today. I didn't ask him to do it, and he did it anyway, and he did a wonderful job. After gaining some attention with their 0.6 release, the team behind ElDewrito has been asked to temporarily halt development on their mod. ElDewrito, for those who are unaware, is a Halo Online mod that allows player-hosted servers, among other things. Microsoft and 343 happened to notice multiple Microsoft assets are required to play the game. While ElDewrito is an open-source mod, these assets come with the download in order for it to function properly. So far, the team has complied with requests from 343. In a statement about what happened, 343 pointed out that they do not want to take down ElDewrito, they're just enforcing Microsoft's intellectual property rights. They also said they hope to partner with ElDewrito to bring classic Halo to PC and assist the modding community, which really seems contradictory when you consider Microsoft has started DMCAing streamers on Twitch who are playing the mod. And I'm sorry to say this, but they are within their rights, because, as their explanation goes, Halo Online used code that was never lawfully released and therefore violates Twitch's guidelines. I personally do not support this because Microsoft gains nothing by stopping people from streaming something they already own. It doesn't stop those people from owning it, and it doesn't stop people from sharing it either. Just to be clear too, 343 Industries are not the ones issuing the DMCAs. They actually don't want to take any action at the moment and want to talk to the ElDewrito people and find out what the best course of action is. As it stands, I would recommend you not stream Halo Online until a resolution is met, but I'm afraid I don't think that's going to happen. Let me know if you played Halo Online in the comments down below. It's that time of the show, time for tomorrow's game releases. For PC, Dungeon Stars, One Watcher, Inked, Shopkeep 2, Lightfall, MLB Home Run Derby VR, Solo, Murderous Pursuits, and Cliff Empire. For PlayStation 4, MLB Home Run Derby VR, and Survive Mr. Cube. For Nintendo Switch, ACA Neo Geo, Ghost Pilots, Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm Trilogy, Late Shift, Agatha Knife, Sparkle Zero, Korg, Gadget for Nintendo Switch, A Robot Named Fight, and Govt. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been News Cartridge. I am Dandruff. I will see you tomorrow. And how does a computer get drunk? It takes screenshots. It's 2 a.m., last draw call, and I think you've had a bit too much. Click up here to watch the bonus episode for today's show. Click down here to watch yesterday's episode, which was about Blizzard introducing paid mods to StarCraft 2. And click over here to subscribe to my wonderful, wonderful channel. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.